Hi guys, welcome back. This is the solution video for tip number 2 from my GSD lab. Tip number 2, let's just go and get it. Tip number 2 is simple. It's just resetting the root password. Resetting the root password might be a tedious task, for some people, because it has so many areas that you need to touch. But with from my point of view, if you understand each of the steps, what they mean, it's gonna be easy for you to remember what you need to do. So what I'm gonna do with this video, I'm gonna try to explain each step, and what what's the reasoning around each step. So we're going to change the root password to password 1. So the first thing is we need to open the online server. If you are a gold member, then you have access to the Bastion host, and you can use all your own virtual machine. Okay, so here we are. So the first thing that we are going to do is reboot the server, and then we need to interrupt the boot process, and we need to do that by editing the grub2 menu, making sure that the system doesn't go past the memfs. So to do that, let's just reboot the server with a grub, and to interrupt the grub process, so we need to press the E, and then we have to look for the line that starts as with the line Linux 16. So this is the line right here. So we go to the end of the line, and on the other line we add rd.break. So what this is going to do is going to make sure that we can get into the system, without having to enter the root password. So with that done, then we need to press Ctrl X, and that's going to, this is going to continue booting. If you noticed, the system didn't ask for root password, and we're already in the system. So this is emergency mode. So what I wanted to show you first is that at this point we have the system mounted in a temporary folder. If we do ls, you will see that there's a temporary folder called sysroot, if you see right here. So what we need, one important distinction with this folder is to understand that we have to, that folder is mounted as read only, so we cannot do much with it. So the first step is to remount the sysroot folder as read and write. To do that, we do mount minus O for option, and then remount column, then read write on sysroot, right? So perfect. So that would remount that temporary folder, but now it's remounted as read write. The next thing we need to do is we need to change the root directory to that folder. To do that, we use the chroot command, sysroot. All right. So at this point, we can safely change the password. So it's wd like we do, in Linux, and enter, and then we can change the password. The new password is password 1. That's 1. Password 1. So all authentication tokens updated successfully. So one thing we need to remember, at this point we have already modified the password, but we modified the etc shadow file. And if we are running SE Linux on the by changing the etc shadow files, we're going to violate the Linux policies, and then we're going to have some problems when we need to log in. So I'm going to show you 2 ways to deal with this. The first thing I want to show you is that at this point we do not have, let me just do ls minus lc, right? We do not have the SE Linux modules loaded, right? So if I do ls minus lc, normally the C will show you the file context for SE Linux. So since it's not loaded, I don't have any information, so I just have a question mark. So one way to restore the context of the etc shadow file is by loading the Linux policy. So we say load policy minus I, and that's that's going to load the modules necessary to for the system to be able to. And now we see, right? Now we see that the object is. Let me just position this a little better. Now we see the label, and if we see on that line, we see that the etc shadow file is on label. So the way to resolve this is like we do with SLN, is using the restore command on etc and shadow. And then now we should have the correct label. With this we can reboot and we should be okay. Let me just first we need to exit and then reboot. Now I'm going to show you another way to do it. Now let me just make sure that the password changed to password 1, so it's working fine. So I want to show you another way to do it. There's a couple of ways to deal with this. There's one way that is by creating a file on the root directory called auto relabel. I don't like that method because that method would trigger the system to relabel the entire file system, and if you have a very large file system, it might take a long time, and you might not want that. So that method I just showed you is my preferred method. But if for some reason by the time you are trying to change your password, you don't remember the command to load the SLinux modules, then you can. There's another way to do it. Let me just reboot the system, and the way to do it is to make sure that the system doesn't boot using enforcing mode on SLinux. So let's go back and do the system again. So what I just did, just on the grub menu, just press E to edit. I'm gonna look for the Linux 16 line again, and at the end of the line I'm gonna enter rd.break. This is gonna interrupt my system. Control X. Now let me zoom in just to see. Okay, we're here again. So as we said earlier, we have a the root directory is mounted on a temporary folder called sysroot, which is right there. But this folder is mounted as read-only, so we need to remount it. Mount -O for option, remount, readwrite on sysroot, right? And then we need to change our root to the folder, which is chroot, and then sysroot. Perfect. Let's change the password back to password. So psswd password and password. Password doesn't match. Sorry about that. Password. So all token updated successfully. So let's say that I don't remember how to load the policy. If you remember the command was load, right? Load policy -I, right? But let's say that I don't remember how to do it. So the other way to go about it is by exiting out of here and then reboot the system again, right? And we are going to re-edit the grub menu, but this time we're going to add at the end. Again, we're going to look for line 16, go to the end of the line, and then we're going to end line that start with Linux 16. At the end of the line, we're going to add the comment enforcing equals 0. That's going to start SLinux in permissive mode. What that means is that SLinux is going to log any policy violations, but it's still going to allow us to use to do whatever we're doing. So here we have to go back. We reboot. All right, so let me zoom in a little bit just to to make sure we can. Right, so you can use your password. That's not going to be a problem. But if we look at the -L C etc shadow file, we still have no label. So we need to resolve that. And the way to resolve that is by doing restore on etc shadow we're done. Verified, so the file has been labeled properly, and you know, if we do get enforce, you know, SLN is in permissive mode, so we just set enforce 1, and that takes care of you know, setting SLN is back to enforcing mode. And that should be it. Thanks for watching.